So now we need to generalize the function check input so that it error checks the question and also the input of whether the user wants to run it again or not. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that check input right now, it error checks this question, right? It checks for a question mark and checks for an empty string. But we want to generalize check input so that it also checks for this, right? So here we're expecting the user to enter in a yes or a no. But what about if they enter nothing, right? They enter an empty string. It should print out an error message. Or what if they print out here like dog, right? Like just something irrelevant, then it should print out an error message. So that's what we're going to do. We want to use check input there, and we want to use it here too, right? So now the question is how do we get check input to run one algorithm for this question and run a different algorithm for that question? Well, we're going to pass in an argument, right? So here we could say Q for question, the letter Q, and then here we could say A for again, right? So then when we jump up to question, right, of course we're going to take in the raw input because we have to do that here and here, right, both times. But once we get into the checking algorithm, you want to say if, right? And if the check input is passed in, maybe I could say here, I don't know, what can I call this? I could say this is which maybe, and then I could say if which is equal to Q, which means they want to run check input on the question, then we will do this, right? And then we could say elif which is equal to A, which means they want to check the yes or no, then we're going to run this algorithm here, right? So this way we're kind of generalizing check input so they can handle both cases, right? This for the question, this for the again yes or no, right? And so here, what would you want to check? Well, you would want to check things like empty string, right? So we can maybe copy this and yeah, you want to say you must type in yes or no, right? And then you probably want to say if question is not equal to, or maybe I could say question dot lower is not equal to yes or no. Question dot lower is not equal to no, right? Then print out an error message again. And this should be an elif right here. Yeah, right? And so I guess those are all the things that I can think about to check. So the else would be return question. Oh no, here we don't want to return question, right? So here we would want to return true or false, right? So if this check input, the user enters in yes, they want to do it again, then check input should return true. So that means this variable is going to be equal to true, and then it's going to come back into the while loop and it's going to go again, right? So we could change this to again, and we don't need this anymore, right? But we do need to change how check input returns values. So here we could say elif question dot lower is equal to yes. Then that means that they want to run the program again. So we're going to return true. And then we say elif question dot lower is equal to no. Then we want to return false because they don't want to do it again. And if you return false, then it's going to jump on down to here. Again is equal to false. It's going to come back up into the while loop and it's going to say while false, which means it's not going to execute the body of the while loop. And then it's going to come to here to line 48, line 49. That's the end of main. It's going to go back to where main was called on line 51, line 52, and that's the end of our program, and it's going to finish, right? So I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, I think that's fine. So let's go ahead and try running it. And I will ask a question. And then when you want to do it again, I'm going to do empty string. You must type in yes or no, right? And let's go try running it one more time. No. Do you want to ask another question? I say yes. Ooh, that's not good. So let's see. It runs check input on A, which is equal to A. Goes to the elif. And then I type in okay, so the reason why is because I typed in yes, right? Here I typed in yes. Question's equal to yes. We come here because which is equal to A. It comes here, checks that. That's not true. It comes here, checks that. Now this is true because this is false because question is equal to A. Is equal to yes. So this is not true. But we have or, and yes is not equal to no. That's true, right? So since we have or, that means that this whole expression is equal to true, and it says you must type in yes or no, right? So then, yeah, so that's not good. So we just need to change up the order, right? So then it should check if it's a yes and do that, or if it's no and do that, and then you could check this, right? So that would be the better way to organize this. So we could just come down here and say else, right? And else we can type in yes or no. So let's go ahead and test that out. All right. Question, you want to do it again? I say yes, and it asks if I want to do another question, right? I say no, and it finishes. Right? So that's what we want to do for task number 3.